A crime can happen at any time of the day. To solve a crime, one of the most important things to remember is the preservation of the crime scene. Here is the part where the first responder's role is very important. First responders can be anyone who arrives first at the crime scene and is capable of preserving it. The first responder's responsibility is to secure and protect the crime scene to avoid contamination and intrusion. The first responder should record the exact time of his or her arrival and notify the Technical Operations Center or the TOC. The first responder should also check if the situation still poses imminent danger, such as if the suspect is still in the vicinity. Always remember the golden rule. Do not touch, move, or alter any evidentiary item. With this in mind, the first responder must immediately cordon off with a police line to secure the crime scene. The police line should be placed to cover the area of the crime scene as widely as possible in order to avoid trespassing or direct observation by the people of the third party. Even victims and everyone involved should not enter the secured area unless they are under the supervision of the case investigator. The first responder should remind them not to enter even though they have something to do in the area, so as not to disrupt the original state of the crime scene. At the same time, the first responder should communicate to the field investigation unit as early as possible in order for the investigator on case to understand the situation and process the crime scene quickly. Quick action not only contributes to the effective crime scene preservation, but also shows the sincerity of the police to the victims, which is the basis of confidence of the victims and other relevant parties to the police that the investigation will be done in a timely manner. Securing a crime scene is never complete without gloves. Gloves serve as symbols of every crime scene investigation and are used to protect the physical evidence as well as the crime scene itself. Everyone involved in any criminal investigation should always carry a pair of gloves in their pockets and wear them prior to arriving at the crime scene. This is one point that should never be misunderstood. Don't touch, even if you are wearing gloves. Even if one is wearing gloves, you are not free to touch anything at the crime scene, as touching something can alter the physical evidence such as fingerprints or, even worse, erase it. In cases that an object has to be moved, it has to be treated very carefully, even if gloves are worn. If the physical evidence is so fragile that it can disappear or transform before the arrival of the case investigator, the first responder has to take necessary action to preserve it. In such a case, he or she has to treat it carefully. The gloves serve as a reminder, and by wearing gloves, first responders and investigators can keep the golden rule in mind when processing the crime scene. When victims and ordinary citizens see the first responders and investigators wearing gloves, they can recognize how important preserving the crime scene is. It will contribute to a better understanding of crime scene investigation and to eventual enhancement of mutual cooperation between the people and the police. Identifying possible witnesses and conducting preliminary interviews are also very important tasks for first responders. After following these steps, first responders should brief the investigator on case on all evidence and information gathered upon their arrival. The proper turnover is one of the most important steps in any criminal investigation. The duties of the first responder are not finished even after the turnover. First responders should support the investigator on case for effective investigation under the instruction of the investigator on case.